here.
Recording my end. Welcome to the Coach's Kitchen, where breakthrough is always on the burner. I'm your host, Leslie Nicole, life strategist, empowerment coach, and your favorite soul chef. This is where ambitious women like you come to unpack what's simmering beneath the surface, from purpose to power moves, healing to high stakes leadership. Because you know what? This is not fast food healing, it's the slow, sacred work that sticks. So pull up a seat, bring your whole self, and let's stir something real. Come hungry, leave whole. Now, in this episode of the Coach's Kitchen, we're talking culture with my girl, Amber Fields. Amber, where are you at, girl? Where you at?
Hey, girl.
There she is. There she is, Miss America. How are you?
Hi, friend.
Hello. It's so funny because Zoom was just like, "Are you playing music?"
Look,
No.
technology is interesting.
It is. It's so weird. It's like, are you playing music? Are you playing music? But I'm so happy that you are here this evening.
Yeah.
If no one knows, if you don't know Amber, you should. But she is the Chief Culture Officer at TrueU. She's a speaker, leadership powerhouse, and let's just say she's just a powerhouse in her own right. She's always having real, nourishing conversations about culture, calling, and courage. Um, we're going to talk about meeting her father at the age of 12, reconnecting with your Filipino roots, and really
Yeah.
how it shaped yourself and how you lead. We're going to be exploring faith, authenticity, and culture, and how it's helped you rise and thrive stronger and braver. Look how I just put that in there.
I love it.
So, your commitment to culture and leadership development is rooted in a career that blends strategic communications, storytelling, people development. I actually forgot that you had been a journalist and reporter, which I think is so exciting.
Yeah.
But you've just been able to really just bridge all of that and become the chief culture officer at TrueU. You've been instrumental in guiding businesses, nonprofits, to become more efficient, competitive, and innovative by placing people at the center of the strategy.
Yeah.
Um, and you've served many organizations, Indy, elsewhere. You're an Indiana native. And so we're just so excited that you took time away from your family, your husband, Daniel, your children, your dogs, your new baby in the family to spend some time.
Baby.
Yes, I'm so
Yes.
excited that you're here. So thank you so much for being here, Amber.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to anytime I get to sit down and have a conversation with you is a good day for me.
Yay, yay. So, what's up with Amber? So, why don't you take us back to like when we first met and tell us, where
Oh,
you were versus like where you are now?
that's interesting, Leslie. Let's see. How far back does this go?
It goes back
Um,
to like Damar.
Yeah, well, I've been serving Daymar for like 12 years. I initially started in that organization on their fundraising guild. 12 years ago, no, it's been 13 years ago now because my twins are 14. And so, yeah, so I started serving that organization and you came on the board. I became a board member probably 7, 8 years
My twins are
ago.
14. And
And
so
so
then
you came on the board shortly after that, and that's where we connected. And it was, I knew from the minute you walked into, we were at DePaul University and you came walking through and I was like,
I knew
who's that
from the minute
girl?
you walked into
And I could not wait to have a conversation with you. And so we sat down and we did, and we were like two women of a kin. It was just immediate connection.
it was. I was just like, who is she? Like, I need to know her. Like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
So what is up with Amber right now? How would you describe the season that you're in right now?
Hmm. Let's see. The season that I am in now is finally getting to fulfill
Mm.
living out my purpose intentionally. I spent the last 20, my husband and I have been together for 23 years, married for 22.
Congratulations. That's a
Thank you. We
yeah.
have 5 kids, blended, but his ex-wife, and he will tell you that these kids are mine, just like
Mhm.
they are theirs. And so
Absolutely.
we have a 25-year-old who's now married with that sweet grand girl that we talked about. So the season that I'm in is I became a Lola this year. I know
Oh,
I do not
I
look
couldn't
like,
remember. I was like, I know it's not Nana. I know it's not
no,
Grandma. I was like, it's something. It's something.
it's Filipino grandma, Lola.
You just educated me tonight.
And so I have a 24-year-old that we were chatting about prior to this because she makes my hair look really good.
Mhm.
She's a hairstylist in Fishers, shameless plug for anybody looking. My 21-year-old is still in college at the University of Phoenix, but she lives in Pensacola, Florida, because her boyfriend is in the Navy. And then I have these two sweet 14-year-old boy-girl twins that we are finishing raising, and it is a fun time. It is a busy time. They keep us really busy. But I spent most of, the first part of my career, well, early on, I had, like you had said, I started out wanting to be a journalist and worked in a few like Box 59 and some radio stations. I happened to be, when I was in college, the news director for 88.7 WICR. And that put me on the air the day of 9/11. And
Mm.
that was tragic for everybody. And it was one of those moments where at the time I didn't realize it, but it was one of those conversations with myself that was like, oh, I'm not sure that this is the route for me. However, I'm
Mhm.
the first person in my family to go to college. And oh, by the way, I'm paying for it myself.
Mm.
So I gave it a good try. You also cannot move, you cannot start here in Indianapolis. Back then, we were top 25 market. We had to move. And I was not about to move my husband away from his two kids. They were 1 and 2, so we were like, we got to raise this family. And so we did. So I put my career on the back burner for the first, 15 years of our marriage, and just decided I was going to work whatever job it took to take care of my family, pay down my school debt,
Mhm.
and so I did. And I was like, I'll figure out what I want to be when I grow up later. And so later came real quick, Leslie. Raising 5 kids goes really fast. And so 5 years ago, I had a career in IT services. So I was in sales,
Mhm.
and during COVID, like many people, I was like, I just don't know if this is what I want to be when I grow up. And I've got to really do some soul searching to figure out, how do I transfer my skills from what I've been doing for a long time into what I should be doing,
Right.
and stop looking for purpose in the work that I do and trying to find my identity and know who I am, and realize that I'm just bringing my purpose to the work that I do every day. And
Right.
that's like the greatest aha, like that's the greatest thing that came out of this journey over the last 5 years, is I got to stop looking for purpose
Mhm.
and realize that I was bringing it to the ball game every single day.
Mhm. And you just talk, you say that you said this word identity, and we all, I feel like that's kind of like a buzzword nowadays. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about identity, we talk about culture, but then you also shared that you met your father for the first time at 12. So
Mm-hmm.
what did that moment open up for you, and how did that shape the way that you see yourself as a mom, as a
Yeah.
wife, as a professional today?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, funny story. My parents met, they were really young. They were teenagers. My mom was
Mhm.
16 or 17. My dad was early 20s, maybe 19. And they met at Mrs. Fields Cookies on Pier 39. I think God's got jokes, right? Because today I'm Mrs. Fields. So,
Or Mrs. Fields now.
yeah, so I'm like, that's cute. But they were really young, right? They were together for a little while. They ended up getting pregnant with me, not planned. And it's an incredible, courageous story of my mom being willing to take on raising a baby, not even graduated from high school yet. Obviously, she had the help of her parents. And so she took it on. She did a great job. She was amazing at giving me what I needed. And then my stepfather came into the picture, who took me in as his own. And we created, this life together. They have two more kids after me, whom I love. One, my sister lives here. My brother lives in Florida. And so, but there was always something a little bit different about me. I looked different than my
Mhm.
mom and my siblings, and I just did not feel like I fit in anywhere. I went
Mhm.
to inner city school, John Marshall Middle School, so I had lots of friends, people of color, Latinas, like but no one that looked like me, no one that was of Asian descent, really. And so it was hard. It was hard to fit in anywhere. I couldn't figure out from an identity perspective where I fit in, where I belonged. Not that I had any trouble making friends, right? Like that was fine, but
Yeah.
really feeling like I belonged somewhere was tough. I always say kind of like I felt like I was like in that middle seat where I was like, I don't know. Well, when I went to my grandmother, ended up finding my dad when I had had a relationship with him up until I was 5. We had a falling, my mom and him had a falling out. And so we just didn't speak for about 7 years. So my grandma found him and I connected with him, went to go see him, and he has 10 brothers and sisters. So
Wow.
yes, girl, huge family. So I go out there for the first time in the summer. I'm in this weird, awkward, like 12, 13-year-old stage in your life where you're like, just awkward about everything.
Yeah.
And but I took it like a champ. I went out there and I was like, I gotta figure this thing out. There's something missing and I just don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that I had the privilege to go out there because genetics matters.
Mhm.
Like it is 100%. When I stepped foot into their home, into their family, I met my brothers for the first time. I have 3 brothers, two that live in New York and one that lives in California grew up with my dad.
Mhm.
It was like I had never not been there, Leslie. The Filipino culture is so welcoming. They are so giving. They were so happy to have had me there. I
Yeah.
just felt like I never didn't belong.
Mm.
And then you hear them speaking in their native language. You start to build those connection and those relationships, and then oh, um, it all just started to make sense for me. It didn't take words. It didn't take. It was something that I felt. It was something that clicked. Like
Mhm.
now that I know who my mom and dad
Mhm.
are fully. And oh, by the way, I'm super blessed to also have a great stepfather who is willing to not be a stepdad to me, but show up as a real dad and
Mhm.
protect me and pour into me and provide for me. And so, I had the best of 3 worlds,
Yeah.
really.
Mhm. So, first of all, thank you for being so honest and sharing the details of your story. So there are women out there who may feel disconnected from their own roots or unsure of
Mhm.
who they are. And it may not necessarily be race or ethnicity or background. It could just be they're just unsure of like who
Yeah.
they are. They're just still trying to develop it and still trying to figure out like who do I want to be in life? And I'm 45, 50 years old.
Yeah.
What's one way to begin that journey, or maybe a couple of ways to begin that journey of rediscovery?
Yeah. I think it's really what we don't do as women is we don't spend time with ourselves.
Mm.
We are so busy raising our families, whether you have kids or not. And I say this jovially speaking, but like raising our husbands, my husband will tell you, I was raising him for like the first 15 years, 20 years.
I feel
Um,
like we can talk about that on another show.
yeah, that's a different show. But a credible partner. But there's some growing up that we have to do and raising each other, not just me raising him or him raising me. But you just spend so much time in service and giving to others that oftentimes we do not spend time with ourselves. I just
Mhm.
had this conversation with my 21-year-old a couple weeks ago, and her boyfriend is in the Navy and he's going to be traveling and she's going to spend a lot of time by herself.
Mhm.
Leslie, she's never been by herself. And this
Mhm.
wasn't something that I had learned until much later in my life. I was uncomfortable with being with myself because I didn't know myself very well. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I was about. I didn't know what my values were. I didn't know why I cared about certain things, like why, the reasons why I cared about certain things. And so I just started spending time with myself and journaling and, just getting quiet and listening to my body, listening to my soul, listening to downloads of what God was saying to me, and really starting to remember who I was created to be and why it is okay for me to know me so that I can
Yeah.
serve others.
Yeah.
Being with myself is not selfish. I've got to have that time to
Yeah.
be able to gain discernment and
Mhm.
really understand what is the value that I bring to this world.
Mhm.
If I don't understand what I'm uniquely gifted at and understand why I was put here, I'm just out in the world trying to serve everybody, be everything to everyone,
Mhm.
instead of being like, this is my authentic yes. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
No, I know somebody else who can do that. Right.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the biggest thing is getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
and understanding what are the needs that you have. What are those areas where you can serve yourself and not
Mhm.
feel guilt around it, not feel shame around it, because the world will tell you, no, you got to be hyper focused on everybody else. And you do get to have that, but you have to find a balance
Mhm.
of being able to pour in. It's cliche to say, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And everybody I talk to, Leslie, is I'm busy, 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 busy doing what? So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you have to, my coach, I have a business coach, and she's always saying to me, Amber, what is your unique value? What is your highest value? And what is the best value you can bring to every situation? You really need to hone in on what that is, because you can do a lot of things and you're
Mhm.
good at doing a lot of things.
Mhm.
But what are the highest and best things in this season of your life that you need to be focused on? And so here's what I say, uncovering this over the last 5 years. And I'm always challenged at this because I am your yes girl, Leslie. Like, I want to do all the things. I just had
Yeah.
this conversation with one of my mentees today. If it is not serving my family and pouring into my family and growing my family, if it is not growing my business, pouring into my team,
Mhm.
strengthening and my family, I mean my kids and my husband, pouring into my team, growing our business, or pouring into myself, it is a no.
Mm.
It is a no.
Good.
Yeah.
About boundaries too.
Yeah, for sure. Right. For sure. And so, and it's not forever probably that way, but these are the highest priorities because I've put my family on the back burner a lot, trying to grow, trying to
Mhm.
gain a career that meant something.
Mhm.
And I don't get to sacrifice them for that. I
Yeah.
can't have both.
Right. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
now you're Chief Culture Officer at TrueU.
Yeah.
So when I first met you, I don't remember exactly which career path you were on. I do remember the sales portion of it, but how did you, I realized you did like all the journaling, but what was the path like to
Mhm.
like find the job, find the perfect job for you? Like
Mhm.
how did it happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that question. It's a really beautiful story because I'm a bad listener. And God had been telling, yes, God had been telling me, girl, stop chasing money and title. If you would just surrender this to me, I will
Mm,
put you on a pathway that glorifies me in such a way that you can't even put words to it. And I am stubborn,
mm,
and I was not listening to him. And
mm,
so I was at as I just it was on the struggle bus during COVID. And what I had heard him say was, and when I say hear God, it sounds like your voice, guys. Like it sounds
mhm,
like you, but you got to
mhm,
have that discernment. And I just said, I surrender. I
mm,
do not. Well, I can't do this anymore. I do not feel like I'm bringing value. I do not feel like I am growing this organization. God, what is it that you want me to be doing? I will literally do anything. I will sweep floors. I will cook. I don't care what it is, as long as it's serving the kingdom. And what I had thought, and I've always had this calling to ministry, Leslie. I've always felt like I was supposed to be in ministry somewhere. So during
mhm.
COVID, because we had all the time in the world, I had started my master's of divinity.
I don't
And
think I did that.
yeah, so I'm halfway through at Indiana Wesleyan, but when
Oh
you're
my
when
goodness.
you start running a company, that you cannot do both. So that is on pause for now. And when I was being convicted around this,
Mm,
what I heard God say was, I didn't ask you to lead a church, Amber. I asked you to lead the church.
mm,
And the church is everyone in
everywhere.
everyone everywhere, but especially the business marketplace,
Mm,
because people need faith today more than ever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so it was freedom in that. I was like, oh, well, then I don't need this degree because I already know how to do that. Right. It is showing up with you. It is connecting with God. It is, being inside of my Bible. And so it was so serendipitous and all God. Leslie, I started praying about it and surrendered it. And it was a daily experience. So anybody out there in the surrender game, like you can't surrender it once, my friend, you have to keep doing it.
Mhm,
And I was very intentional in my journaling. I was like, this is the experience I want to create for myself and others in this new role. This is how much money I want to make. I want unlimited vacation. Like, so I just set an intention. This is what,
mhm,
God, these are the things I think that you're asking me to do. So help
mhm,
me connect me with the people to help me find the job. So you and I are part of Rise and Thrive.
Mhm.
And I'm season one, you're season three?
Three.
Three. I got it right.
Three.
Season three. And so I went to my Rise and Thrive team and I just said, guys, here's where I'm at. Here's what
Mhm.
I want to do. Who do you know? And so Rebecca Fleetwood Hessian said, you need to reconnect with Chris Mills. She's season two. She is in the world of talent. She could probably help you. And so I fought it for a little bit. I was like, I've already talked to her. She probably doesn't want to talk to me again. And Rebecca's like, you knucklehead, like go talk to her again.
You just said I'm not a good listener, but I'm glad
I'm
you
not.
listened
So I
again.
did. I reached back out to her and I'll never forget it. She was driving to her lake house. We were having a phone conversation. She was in the car and I just shared with her my heart. I just said, I don't love what I'm doing. I've been in sales for a long time. I'm feeling burnt out. And I want to try something different, whether it's operations or something. I don't know. And we started to go down this path with this one organization and she kind of stopped the conversation. She's like, wait, we are acquiring an organization. And I think you might be really good for
Mm.
leading that organization. They were buying TrueU, taking it from a nonprofit to a for-profit, and they needed somebody to come in and grow it. The leaders that had had it before were incredible. Had done an amazing job, and Kyle will tell you it was his season. His season, 7-year season, had passed, and he was ready to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And so I was so privileged to even have been considered for this,
Mhm.
Leslie. So long story short, I interviewed with Mike, and yeah, here we are. And what's funny about it is I didn't even know that it was an organization based on biblical principles until after I started. The T in
Mhm.
TrueU is actually a different font because it represents a cross.
Mind blown. I did not know that.
Right.
Amber Fields and Chris Mills. I did not know that.
Yeah. Now, is it something that we're like shoving Jesus down people's throat? No, that's not what that looks like.
The ministry, though.
It's a ministry though, right?
Ministry.
And so when I went to pause my IWU, classes and things, I felt no guilt. I
Yeah.
felt no shame for starting something and not finishing it because I am doing the work already. And what it really means is just being there for people, helping to understand how people empower the growth of an organization. And that I can do all day. People would say to me, Amber, if you could just get a job helping connect people with other people, like you'd be rich, not rich in money, but rich just in wholeness and fulfillment. And that is 100% what we do today. Leslie, we're helping connect people with what they need to
Mhm.
grow themselves intentionally. I always say it's not that Def- TrueU kind of came out of Defenders. If people know that organization, they were acquired by ADT, and so that's how TrueU came available. And Mike Lance acquired the organization, brought it in under his HR practice. Um, so now we're one organization, and it is killing it, doing super great things. And I just feel very privileged to be a part of this journey, to be able to impact people. But here's what I say: if you give people the opportunity to become the best versions of themselves,
Mhm.
they will do their very best work and they will live their very best lives.
Yeah.
And that is why I show up every day. That is why I am here. Whether that looks like investing in people on a one-to-one basis, mentoring, coaching, teaching them those soft skills or leadership tools, or helping companies figure out how to have the destination workplace culture that they want to have, pulling all the cultural levers required, with people development being just one of those, right? Helping them understand how attracting and retaining the best talent will really help their companies grow. That's what chief culture officer means to me.
Mhm. So I'm glad you said that because we talk again culture, and I'm in recruiting. I'm in executive recruiting now, in addition to Leslie Nicole speaks in the coach's kitchen. But I talk to candidates on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And culture, I can say, is like the number one question
Mm-hmm.
that people ask about. Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to be treated? And I feel like COVID was kind of like,
Pivotal.
it was like, it
Mm-hmm.
was the thing that just knocked its socks off. Like, it just was like
Mm-hmm.
this, yeah, culture is important. I realized that not only can I do my job from home, and I'm not saying that just a healthy culture is working from home. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is a healthy culture is my company trusting and respecting me as a human being
Mm-hmm.
and being able to integrate my family if and when I need to. And
Yeah.
so it is so important. But how would you define culture in a workplace context, and how do you share that with organizations that you talk with or talk to?
Yeah. Yeah, culture it's always evolving, it's always growing. It's really
Mhm,
about what I love about what we have 100 companies, member companies as
mhm,
a part of our culture community.
mhm,
And it's not about joining the community and becoming the same culture. Companies cannot have the same culture. It's about celebrating the differences in your culture. It's
right.
helping organizations understand that the foundational piece is, do you have a vision? Do your
Mhm,
people know why they do what they do? Do they know where you're going in mission? And then what are the values? This is the foundation to which we operate on, and the expectation and the things that we are accountable to in an
mhm,
organization, and helping people understand how their values can relate, and expecting them, holding them accountable to how we show up as an organization. But it's
mhm,
also creating trust, psychological safety, creating inclusive environments. Culture is just this multifaceted opportunity for
mhm,
people and companies to be unique, but also to celebrate the likeness, the things that bring us together, the commonalities. I also think that rewards are really important, and recognition are really important as a part of culture, celebrating the wins,
mhm,
and being able to build connection and community inside of those organizations.
mhm. Would you say that there are any misconceptions about culture that exist? And if so, what would you say those are?
Uh, yeah, well, yes. Culture is not the food in the break room. Um, okay, it's a question that we get asked like frequently.
Oh,
Cul-
okay.
oh yeah, culture is not the gym. It's not those. It's all of it.
Yeah.
One thing is not going to create the culture that you
Right.
want. It's many things that
Mhm,
create a cohesive and collaborative culture.
mhm,
So and to your point, like, if you are not intentional about creating culture, you will create an accidental culture that is
mhm,
probably not what is going to help you get to where you are trying to go to. Culture
mhm.
is a driver of 100% of business profitability.
Absolutely.
You have to have a great culture because people won't stay, and if they don't stay, then churn is expensive.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, culture matters now more than ever.
Yeah. So I've worked for companies who have excellent culture. I work for one now. It's called Boyden. They are
Mhm.
exceptional. Shout out to
Mhm.
Lisa and Wendy, who are the managing partners over at Boyden Boston. But I've also worked for, unhealthy cultures or toxic cultures.
Mhm.
What would you say to companies and or organizations that have not great retainment of employees and or they're hearing like, oh, something is wrong with that person and people are leaving, or
Yeah.
oh, the culture is not healthy. What do I do? Am I the problem? Like how do they even
Mhm.
begin to have that conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to take a look at your mid-level managers. People
Mm,
don't leave companies, they leave people.
mhm,
And we know that people get promoted because they're really good at their jobs, but they are not often given the tools or even know what it means to lead others.
mhm,
And so that's what we're on a mission to do, is help people become really great managers and leaders. Investing in that mid-level management, one, because it creates less work trauma. We've
mhm,
all experienced what that means, and they're doing the best that they can with what they have. But if you've never
mhm,
given them parameters, you've never helped them understand how to lead self, let alone lead others, right? It creates disconnect, and it creates havoc and breakdowns in communication, and all of those things. And so investing in your mid-level managers and your people leaders is like number one. Help them help you succeed by helping them have the tools to work through healthy conflict, to have effective communication, to understand what it means to come know your leadership style, but what does it mean to meet your people where they are, coming up
mhm,
underneath them, having feedback conversations. Feedback is good. We grow,
mhm,
and we can't grow if we don't know. So we have to have those feedback conversations.
mhm,
I used to be super afraid of conflict because conflict to me was loud. And I have worked
mhm,
in some organizations where communication was raised voices and, just not appropriate. Right. And so when Mike and I, who's my business partner, had conflict for the first time, I was like dukes up, ready to take him on. And he was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, we don't do conflict like that. And I was like, thank the Lord, because I don't want to do conflict like that. He's like, conflict is a conversation. It might feel emotional. It might be hard to say the things, but we need to say the things to get better. And when we poll our companies, conflict, communication, feedback are the top three things that we get that people are struggling with.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So we started talking about, we started the conversation talking about you, and then now we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like in you as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your own story, your identity, your faith, your personal journey not from being dissatisfied to now blooming, how has that influenced the way you approach leadership, culture building, that is culture building. I sound like I'm from the South. So
Oh,
how has that influenced how you approach leadership, culture building, and
yeah.
then also just being, a mom and a wife and just being a friend? How does that affect you in your personal life as well?
Oh, it's all in. We are the same. We should be the same people at work as we are at home. We turn, like, yes, there are certain things we have to turn on and turn off at heightened levels and things, but I will tell you, I feel the most authentic version of myself ever. I feel a lot of freedom. I feel a lot of peace. That's not to say that the work isn't hard, Leslie. I think that my business partners get, like Mike gets a little bit out of shape when I say it's been the hardest and the best 4 years of my life, but it's all good things. It's because I have lived outside of my comfort zone in some areas for 4 years straight, because I'm learning. I am building resilience. I am understanding what it means to be an executive leader in a company. And I'm learning at the same time what it means to grow something from this size to this size. I'm leading people. It's not just about leading from the sidelines anymore. I have led people in the past, but I have done a lot of leading with influence and
Mhm,
really understanding what my leadership style is. And
mhm,
it is transparent. It is real conversations. It is feedback, but both ways. I want my team to feel like they can give me feedback just like I give them feedback, because I don't get it right all the time, and
mhm,
that it is safe to be able to do that. And so, and a constant learner. I want to continue to grow. It is not about who I am today. It is about who I'm becoming, which is what our pastor says. And there's no truer statement, right? I want to continue to become the best leader that I can be. I think the greatest thing that I've learned through this journey is not coming at people from my own leadership style, but really taking the time to understand, how do I need to approach them from a communications standpoint? Like, what are the things I need to say? I need to stop talking sometimes and just listen,
mhm,
really interpret what it is that they are saying to me, and
mhm,
knowing from a timing perspective. And I have not got that right, Leslie, for all 4 years that I've been here. Right. I had to fall on my face and learn some hard lessons in order to get there, but then
mhm,
also not shaming myself for getting it wrong.
mhm,
I was such a perfectionist prior to this. And if I got anything wrong, it was not healthy. I would carry that with me. It would impact others because I was sitting in my insecurities, um, and and
mhm,
owning my job. The other part of this growth is, I have I am good at what I do, and I get to own that I'm good at what I do. And
mhm,
there's evidence that says, yes, you have done a really great job of this, and you are not done. You are not
mhm,
done. And I glean and learn from every single person in our organization, every single person on our team on a daily basis. But I am the leader. Mike asked me one time, he said, do you want to be Michael Jordan or LeBron James, or do you want to create Michael
mhm.
Jordans and LeBron James? And I was like, oh, this world is not about me.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's such a
like
great
that.
question. Yeah,
That's good.
it's so good.
That's good.
It's so good. And my immediate response was, oh, I don't want to be the star of the show. I want to create more stars of this show.
Mm,
And so that's what I have been given the privilege. And I have these people in my hands that I'll get emotional. I just feel so grateful to
mm,
stand alongside of them, to serve them, and to be a part of their journey. And I pray that they stay with me for a very long time. And I hope that they are the best version of themselves for somebody else if they ever decide to move on. Um, I'm just really grateful to be a part of the journey.
So in talking about creating LeBron James's and Michael
Mhm.
Jordan's, what legacy you hope to leave through the culture you're creating,
Mm,
people you're leading, and just
mhm,
being Amber, because you are so, I mean, you're chief culture officer, right? And we talk about not chasing titles, but you're Amber. Like you've
mhm,
always been true.
mhm. Thank you, friend. We said we weren't going to cry,
You
but
did,
maybe, but maybe
but maybe. And I almost got through it.
you
But
did 6 minutes. Mhm,
you've always been true to me
mhm,
and there
thank
for
you.
me during my
Mhm,
hard times. So,
mhm.
I mean, even if you've touched just one person, which I know you haven't, but you've touched me.
Yeah.
But what legacy do you hope to leave?
Yeah. I love this question because I just actually had to answer it on Friday night.
Oh, I wasn't there.
I know. So I'm like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah.
My husband and I are a part of a leadership program called Zarvos Leadership and Coaching.
Mm,
And for me, Leslie, it is about people knowing that they matter. It
yeah.
is it and that they were created for a particular reason, whether
Mm,
you believe in God or not. You were put on this earth for a particular reason. And I want you to know what that is. I want you to know how much you matter, how loved that you are, and that this life is not wasted on anything, that you are here and living out your purpose, regardless if you are aware or know what that is. So that's what I want. I'm out in the world trying to help people understand and mirror back to them, right? Like, because every single person you have poured into me, Leslie, just like I have poured into you. And I am a better person for knowing you.
mm,
And that's what I want. I want people to know that ultimately, for me, that they are loved by God, that He uses them, and that every single person matters in that
mm,
story.
yeah. Okay. Well,
No,
um,
that is good. So many places. What's funny, Leslie, also, I wanted to say is when I stopped chasing money and title, God is so good that He gave abundantly more, abundantly more.
and
When
that's
we are obedient and when we surrender and realize that none of this is about us and we aren't actually in control of this, we can show up and live in our gifts and do the things that we are asked to do. But at the end, ultimately, for me, He is the one that is orchestrating my moves and orchestrating and having me show up in the places that we are showing up, right? And when I just am obedient to what He's asking me to do, no matter how scared I am, because sometimes He asks me to do things that I don't feel ready for.
mhm,
I'm sure you feel that, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's taken me 7 years to get you to put this podcast together. The very first time we sat down, I said, "What are you?" Because you had a talk show previously, right?
Mm,
I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you not doing this?" Because the world needs to hear people's stories,
mhm,
and all in
mhm,
God's timing, right? Not
yeah,
our timing, His timing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
He knows when the best right time for this is, and
Mm,
nothing is wasted. I do not feel like the last 22 years of my life, 23 years, where I have waited to be able to live in my giftedness and have my career go like this. I was pouring into my family and I was focused on giving them everything that they needed to be
mhm,
successful at life. And
yeah.
look how great He lined that up. I thought that I had um, wasted an $80,000 degree
Mm,
of public speaking. And He was like, what if I didn't ask you to use that platform in that gift? What if it was for such a time as this?
yeah.
So
So you've said two words recently, but we've said surrender a couple times.
mm,
Talk about surrendering. We talk about obedience. Pretend I'm a babe in Christ. Shoot, forget that. I'm mature in Christ. Let's talk to both people, all
mhm.
the spectrums. How do you know how to be obedient and to surrender? Like, What you talked about surrendering every day and like, okay, Lord, okay, Lord, okay, Lord. But how do you know? Like, how do you know what to do?
That's a great question. I love it. When it's something you can't control, when you don't have, and it's hard. If this is hard and you can't figure out what to do, it's not yours to figure out what to do.
Mhm.
Give it up. Pray about it. There are things that are happening with my kids. They're government shutdown. I got two kids there that are in, that are in the military.
Mm,
I can't do anything about that. All
mm,
I can do is surrender, you know, our government and pray that they figure it out and ask that God protects my children.
mm,
God, you have them. Um, it's when you I can't change that, right? So it's the things that you cannot control.
mm,
You can only control the controllables, which isn't much, right? The only thing you can really control is how you are going to react to things, how you
mm,
are going to show up in something. Um, I don't want to be a victim of my circumstance, and so that's where surrender comes in play for me. And obedience is when you feel you don't have to know what it is, but when you feel that stirring in your, so one of the examples is, remember when I said stop chasing money and title? I had an interview for a really great job with really great money and an awesome title before I knew about TrueU. I get on the
mm.
interview, I'm on there for 3 minutes, Leslie, and my stomach was in knots. Like my Holy Spirit came alive and said, get off of this call and do not waste her time. I was like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
How
So
are they gonna view me if I do that though?
you're right. I was embarrassed. I was like, but I can't. It's just knowing. It is trusting yourself to know that you are making the right decision. I think that is it. It is about trusting yourself enough.
Mm. Well, Amber, girl, um, I need a whole follow-up conversation with Amber myself. So, but you're just such a joy. And I'm glad that you're my friend and that I can, just dial you up. But for all those that may not know you, or that
Yeah.
want to get in contact with you,
Yeah.
how can they find you on all the channels and
Yeah.
how can people, find you and true you?
Yeah, yeah. So TrueU.com is our website. So go out there and check that out. We are helping organizations in talents and culture strategy and fractional HR and in that leader development space. And so would love to have a conversation about that. You can find me on LinkedIn, Amber Fields, and I'm also on Instagram, obviously on Facebook, Amber Westfields, the number 7, because we have a beautiful family now of 8, but 7, 7 plus 1.
7+1. Seven
Yeah,
plus one. Seven.
yeah. I would love it. I invite all the conversations.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you again for being here, Amber, and to all of you. Thanks for pulling up a seat to the coach's kitchen. We cooked up something real tonight. And if
Yeah.
today's conversation stirred something in you, like it stirred something in me, please share the episode and tag us. Myself, it's at Leslie Nicole Speaks. And then on IG, I'm also tck.live, which stands for The Coach's Kitchen. Let people know what's cooking. And then for myself, if you're ready to stop carrying that weight, if you're ready to surrender, if you're ready to be obedient and find the clarity, the balance, the courage, and the confidence to move forward, reach out to me. I do offer customized one-on-one coaching as well for highly ambitious women who are ready to rise and go to the next level. So remember, this is where wholeness gets cooked slowly. And girl, your breakthrough is always welcome here. And we're so glad that you tuned in this evening. Until next time, stay bold, stay whole, and keep cooking. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.